It was a cold evening. The wind whispered through the empty streets. Millionaire Adam was walking home after a long day of meetings. His breath came out in soft clouds as he walked past the city lights. Everything around him looked quiet and still. But then in the distance he heard something strange. A soft cry. It was faint, but it caught his attention. Adam stopped. The crying sound came from a dark alley nearby. Most people would ignore it or hurry past. But something in Adam's heart made him walk toward the sound. Step by step, he moved closer, the noise growing louder. As he entered the alley, the cold night air mixed with the smell of garbage and damp stone. There, under a dim streetlight, he saw her, a small girl. She was no older than 5 years old. Her tiny body was curled up against the wall. She was tied up with thin ropes around her wrists and ankles. Her clothes were dirty and torn, not enough to keep her warm in the cold night. Her big, frightened eyes looked up at Adam. She was crying silently, tears running down her face, but no sound came out of her mouth. The rope stopped her from moving. She was scared and alone. Adam's heart broke. He had never seen anything so sad in his life. He slowly knelt down, careful not to scare her more. "Hey, little one," he said softly. "I'm here to help you. You're safe now." But the girl didn't say anything. She only looked at him with scared eyes. Adam reached out his hand slowly, but she flinched and moved her head away. She was too frightened to trust anyone. Adam looked around the alley to see if anyone else was there. No one. It was empty. Who could have done this? Who would leave a small child tied up and crying alone on the street? The thought made Adam angry and worried. He gently started to untie the ropes. His fingers were careful and quick. The girl did not resist. When the ropes finally came off, she tried to stand but was weak and trembling. Adam wrapped his warm coat around her small body. "Don't be afraid," he said. "I won't let anything hurt you." But still the girl stayed quiet. She didn't say a single word. She only looked at him with those big eyes filled with fear and pain. Adam knew he had to do something fast. It was too cold for her to stay. Outside. He took her hand gently and started walking toward his car. The girl hesitated but followed. Inside the car, the girl held onto the coat tightly. Adam wanted to ask her questions, but he could see she was not ready to talk yet. He didn't want to scare her more. They drove to Adam's large apartment. It was warm and bright inside. Adam prepared a soft blanket and a warm cup of milk for the girl. He sat beside her, hoping she would feel safe. Minutes passed, but the girl stayed silent. She looked at the broken teddy bear she held in her small hands. It was old and dirty, but it was the only thing she seemed to care about. Adam wondered what her story was. Why was she tied up? Who hurt her? And why was she left all alone in that dark alley? Adam's mind raced with questions. He wanted to help her, but he didn't know where to start. Should he call the police? Would they believe him? What if the people who hurt her came looking again? Suddenly the girl looked up and whispered a soft word. "Home?" Adam smiled gently. "Yes, you're safe here. This is your home now." But deep inside, Adam knew this was just the beginning of something much bigger and darker. The nights. Cold was not the only danger. There were secrets waiting to come out. Secrets that could change both their lives forever. As he sat there watching the little girl fall asleep, Adam promised himself one thing. He would protect her no matter what. He would find out the truth, and he would make sure she never felt alone again. But for now, the silence was loud, and the shadows outside his window seemed to watch them closely. The next morning, sunlight slowly filled Adam's apartment, but the little girl, Sarah, still sat quietly in the corner, clutching her old teddy bear. She barely moved and did not look at Adam. The silence between them felt heavy. Adam wanted to help her, but he knew she was scared. He remembered how hard it was to trust someone after being hurt. So he decided not to rush. He made her a warm breakfast and sat nearby, hoping she might eat. But Sarah only looked down, her eyes empty. Adam spoke softly. "Sarah, you don't have to be afraid here. You're safe with me." But Sarah only blinked slowly and stayed silent. Hours passed. Adam watched her, thinking about what she had been through. He wished he could ask her what happened, but he also knew the answers might be painful. To give Sarah some comfort, Adam brought out new toys and colorful blankets. He tried to make the apartment feel more like a home, but Sarah did not smile. She stayed quiet and still. Later, Adam took out a small notebook. He drew simple pictures, a sun, a tree, a house. He showed them to Sarah one by one, pointing and saying the words softly. Slowly, Sarah reached out and touched the pictures. It was a small step, but it made Adam hopeful. He smiled gently and whispered, "Good girl." Days passed like this, quiet, slow, and full of small moments. Sarah began to eat a little, and even followed Adam when he walked around the apartment, but she still would not speak. Every now and then she would freeze when loud noises came or when someone knocked on the door. One afternoon, Adam sat next to Sarah and told her a story. He spoke about a brave little girl who found a new family and learned to smile again. As he talked, Sarah's eyes grew heavy. She finally rested her head on Adam's shoulder. Adam felt warmth spread inside him. It was the first time Sarah had shown trust, but he knew there was still a long way to go. That night, Sarah had a nightmare. She cried out softly in her sleep. Adam woke up and held her close. She trembled, but did not wake fully. Adam whispered, "You're safe, Sarah. I'm here." The next morning, Adam hired a private doctor to check Sarah's health. The doctor gently examined her and told Adam she was weak but strong enough to recover with time and care. But there was more. The doctor noticed marks on Sarah's small body, signs of past pain. Adam's heart sank. This little girl had suffered much more than he first thought. He promised himself that he would find whoever hurt her. But for now, he focused on helping Sarah heal. One day, as Adam was working in his office, his phone rang. It was the private investigator he had hired. "We found something," the voice said quietly. "Sarah's past is darker than you know." Adam's hands tightened around the phone. "Tell me everything." The investigator explained that Sarah's family was involved in dangerous things. People who wanted to hurt her were still looking. Adam felt a cold fear. He looked at Sarah, sleeping peacefully in the next room, unaware of the danger closing in. He knew one thing for sure. He would fight with all his strength to protect her. But the question remained, how deep did this danger go? And was he ready for what was coming? The days that followed felt like a strange mix of hope and fear. Adam tried to make every moment with Sarah peaceful and safe, but shadows from her past lingered close, unseen but very real. Adam sat in his home office, staring at the photos the private investigator sent him. There were pictures of Sarah's old neighborhood, a broken-down house on a quiet street but full of secrets. The investigator said people connected to dangerous gangs lived nearby. It was a place Sarah had come from, a place full of pain. Adam's heart ached. How could such a small girl survive there, and why had no one helped her before? He decided to visit the old neighborhood. Maybe, if he understood Sarah's past better, he could protect her future. The next morning, Adam drove to the place. The streets were silent, but the air felt heavy. Houses were old, and windows were boarded up. Some people watched him with suspicion. Adam walked carefully, looking for answers. He asked a few neighbors, but most shook their heads or avoided his questions. The only clue was a faded flyer about missing children. Sarah's face was on it. Back at his apartment, Adam told Sarah about the visit. She listened quietly but didn't react. Days passed, and Sarah grew more attached to Adam. Sometimes she smiled, or even laughed softly. But there were moments when she suddenly froze, eyes wide with fear. One evening, Adam heard a noise outside his apartment. A shadow moved quickly across the window. He felt a cold shiver down his spine. Adam knew the danger was real. Someone was watching, waiting. The people from Sarah's past had found him. He called the police, but they said there was little they could do without proof. Adam felt frustrated but refused to give up. He decided to protect Sarah himself. Adam installed cameras around the building. He hired security guards to watch the place day and night. He wouldn't let anyone hurt Sarah again, but the more he tried to protect her, the more Sarah seemed to pull away. One night she ran to Adam with tears in her eyes. "They're coming," she whispered. Adam held her close. "I'm here. I won't let anything happen to you." But deep inside, Adam knew this was only the beginning. The shadows from Sarah's past were growing darker, and soon they would reach him too. The night was quiet, but inside Adam's luxury apartment, a storm was brewing. Sarah sat close to Adam, her small hands trembling. She hadn't slept well in days. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow seemed alive. Adam tried to calm her. "You're safe here, Sarah. Nothing will hurt you." But Sarah shook her head slowly. "They are outside, waiting." Adam's heart pounded. He could feel the danger closing in. Suddenly, the security alarm blared loudly. Adam jumped up, rushing to check the cameras. Outside, masked men were moving around the building's entrance. "They're here," Adam said, fear sharp in his voice. He grabbed his phone and called the police again. "Please hurry. There's a threat at my home." Minutes felt like hours. Sarah hid behind Adam, clutching his coat tightly. Then, loud banging on the door echoed through the hall. "Open up," a rough voice shouted. "We want the girl." Adam's mind raced. He couldn't let them take Sarah. Not now, not ever. He quietly moved Sarah to a hidden room he had prepared. A safe place with no windows. "Stay here, don't come out until I say," he whispered. Sarah nodded, her eyes wide with fear. Adam went to the front door and tried to stall the men outside. He spoke loudly. "I'm calling the police. Leave now, or you'll regret it." The men laughed cruelly, banging harder. Suddenly, sirens sounded in the distance. The men cursed and fled. Adam felt relief wash over him, but his heart still raced. He ran to the hidden room and hugged Sarah tightly. "You're safe now," he said softly. Sarah looked up, tears shining in her eyes. "Why do they want me?" Adam didn't have an answer. But he knew one thing for sure. He would never let anyone hurt her again. That night, as Sarah finally slept peacefully for the first time in days, Adam sat by her side, thinking about what he had to do next. The danger was real, and it was close. But Adam was ready to fight for Sarah's future, no matter the cost. The morning after the terrifying night, Adam was more determined than ever. He knew that protecting Sarah meant learning everything about her past, even the darkest secrets. He sat at his desk, looking over the files the private investigator had sent. There were names, addresses, and a tangled web of people involved. In Sarah's life before she met Adam, one name caught his attention, a woman named Carla who was said to be Sarah's aunt. According to the investigator, Carla had disappeared years ago, leaving Sarah alone. Adam decided he had to find Carla. Maybe she held the answers Sarah needed. Adam made some calls, and soon he had a lead. Carla was living in a small town, a few hours away. Adam packed his bag and set off without telling Sarah. The journey was long and filled with worry. What if Carla didn't want to talk? What if she was part of the danger? When Adam reached the small town, he found Carla's house easily. It was old and worn, with curtains drawn tight. He knocked on the door, heart pounding. A woman opened it, older, tired, but with eyes full of pain. "Are you Carla?" Adam asked gently. She nodded but didn't speak. Adam explained about Sarah, about the little girl left tied up and scared. Carla's face changed. Tears welled up in her eyes. "I never wanted this for her," she whispered. She told Adam a story of betrayal and fear. Sarah's parents had been involved in crime, and Carla had tried to protect her. But when the danger grew too strong, Carla had no choice but to leave Sarah behind, hoping someone kind would find her. Adam listened, heart heavy with sadness. But Carla warned him. The people who hurt Sarah were still looking. And now that Adam was involved, he was a target too. Adam thanked Carla and promised to keep Sarah safe. On his way back, Adam felt the weight of the secret he carried. He understood that saving Sarah meant facing powerful enemies, but he also felt a growing bond with the little girl who had touched his heart. When Adam returned home, Sarah was waiting, her eyes hopeful. Adam knelt down and hugged her gently. "I found someone who loves you." Sarah smiled softly, the first real smile in a long time, but deep inside Adam knew this was only the beginning of their fight. The days after Adam's visit to Carla were tense. He watched Sarah closely, making sure she felt safe. But Adam knew. Danger was no longer far away. It was close, almost within reach. One evening, while Adam worked late in his study, he heard a faint noise outside the apartment. He paused, listening carefully. Footsteps. Quiet but deliberate. Adam's heart raced. He quickly turned on the security cameras on his phone. On the screen, he saw a shadow moving near the building's entrance. He texted his security guard to be alert and called the police once again. The officers promised to increase patrols, but Adam didn't wait for help. He decided to stay awake, watching every corner, ready to protect Sarah at any cost. Sarah was asleep in her room, peaceful for once. Adam sat by the door, his eyes never leaving the hallway. Suddenly, there was a soft knock on the front door. Adam's muscles tensed. He didn't open immediately. "Adam, it's me," a voice whispered. He didn't recognize the voice. The knock came again, a little louder. Adam moved quietly to a side window and peeked outside. A man stood there, face covered by a hood. Adam's mind raced. Was this someone who wanted to hurt Sarah? He grabbed his phone and dialed his security team. Before he could speak, the man knocked harder. Adam shouted, "Stay back, I'm calling the police." The man disappeared into the night. Adam locked all the doors and windows. The next day, Adam found strange messages on his phone. Threats warning him to stay away from Sarah. Fear tightened around Adam's heart. The danger was real and it was coming closer. But Adam's resolve grew stronger. He would fight anyone who tried to harm Sarah, because she was more than just a child. To him now, she was family. The weeks after the threats felt like walking through a storm. Adam and Sarah stayed close, trusting each other more with every passing day. Adam made sure Sarah's world was safe and full of love. He brought her favorite toys, read her stories, and watched her smile more each day. But deep down, Adam knew their journey wasn't over. The past still whispered in the shadows, but he was ready to face it head-on. One afternoon, as the sun shone, softly through the window, Adam sat with Sarah in the garden of his apartment building. Sarah held a small flower in her hand, smiling shyly. "Do you want to know a secret?" Adam asked gently. Sarah nodded, eyes wide. "I think you are very brave," Adam said softly. "And I promise I will always protect you." Sarah looked up, her smile growing. For the first time, she said, "Thank you, Adam." Just then the phone rang. Adam answered quickly. It was the police. They had arrested the people who had threatened them. Adam felt a wave of relief wash over him. He hugged Sarah tightly. "We're safe now." Sarah looked at Adam, her eyes shining with hope. Together they faced a new beginning, a chance to heal, to grow, and to find happiness. Adam knew there would be challenges, but with Sarah by his side, he felt ready for anything, because sometimes the strongest families are made in the hardest times, and their story was only just beginning.